This is the last part for the topic food safety and Haccp. So what is Haccp? Haccp is an acronym for Hazard Analysis Critical Control Point. It's a proactive process of consecutive actions to ensure food safety to the highest degree. So basically it's a food safety program whereby they take a proactive approach rather than a reactive approach. So it helps food managers to identify and control potential problems before they can actually happen. And it focuses more on how food is handled during storage, preparation, and service. Besides that, these food safety programs focuses a lot more on time and temperature control, because these are the risk factors that has always been linked to food poisoning cases, outbreaks. So there are actually 7 principles in a Haccp system. So as you can see, there's step 1 until step 7. So I'll explain briefly what these steps are. So in step number 1, you conduct a hazard analysis. So conducting a hazard analysis is whereby you identify risks or hazards that might be introduced into the food. You can do this by reviewing your menu. So you look at your menu, so you look at your food items if there's any potentially hazardous foods. So potentially hazardous foods can be food items like eggs, milk, cheese, meats, and also poultry. So you identify the risk that this food can bring, can cause, whether this food can actually cause food poisoning or not. So first of all, you conduct the hazard analysis. The second step is, to identify critical control points. So by identifying critical control points, you are actually, it's actually a kill step process whereby it eliminates or it reduces the hazards to an acceptable level. So for example, if you are to cook, if you are to serve meat, definitely you will have to cook it to reduce the hazards. Okay, and you move on to the next step, which is the third step. You establish a critical limits. So this is whereby you set a boundary, a lower or upper boundary, also to eliminate the hazards. So for instance, I gave you an example, the meat, you have to cook it. So when you cook it, it must reach a certain temperature. The same goes for a salad, for example. If you were to keep a salad, you are going to serve it later during the day, then you have to keep it at a temperature below 5 degrees Celsius. So that is your critical limits. So the step 4 is actually monitoring the CCP. You want to see how effective the critical limits is. So by doing so, monitoring CCP, for instance, you can have your storage temperature taken during twice a day. For example, your chiller temperature, you can take reading during the morning and also during the evening. So you look at the temperature, whether it fluctuates or not. Then we go to step number 5, which is establish corrective actions. So by doing corrective actions, like I mentioned, the temperature of the freezer or chiller, if it fluctuates, so it means that there's already risk. Either you have to call the maintenance to fix the problem, and also if you suspect that your food, your salad has been exposed to a temperature of more than 6 degrees Celsius, for instance, for more than 4 hours, then you will have to throw out the salad and do not serve the salad, because it can potentially cause food poisoning. The 6th step is verification. Verification here means that you want to make sure that the system actually works. So how you can do it is, for example, if you have a food on a buffet line, you might want to take a food sample just to look whether the level of microorganism is at the safest level. And the last step, which is record keeping, is for you to have a properly documented Haccp plan, and you have all the temperature reading properly documented in a file. Okay, so that is the last part for this topic. Thank you for listening.